Welcome back to the Top 1% Book Club. You know, we love diving into these books that really help us level up our lives and careers. And today's pick is one that's been requested for a while now, and honestly, I'm a little intimidated by it.
Oh, yeah. Which one is it?
Robert Greene's The 48 Laws of Power. It's a classic for sure, but it's also pretty dense and intense.
Right, it gets a little dark sometimes, doesn't it?
Yeah, it definitely doesn't shy away from the realities of how power operates in the world, does it?
Not at all. But that's also what makes it so fascinating. Greene pulls back the curtain on these power dynamics that are always at play, whether we're aware of them or not.
Right. He uses all these historical examples and psychological insights to break down these laws,
Mm,
which can be, well, honestly, a bit overwhelming to process on your own.
absolutely. That's where we come in, I guess. We're here to kind of like distill those key takeaways and make them, a little more digestible and applicable to your everyday life.
Exactly. Because at the end of the day, it's not just about understanding these laws. It's about using them, right?
Mm,
To boost your influence, improve your negotiation skills, become a better leader, whatever your goals are.
totally.
So why don't we jump right in with Law 1, Never Outshine the Master.
Okay.
This one feels particularly relevant in the workplace, I
Yeah.
think. What do you think?
Oh, absolutely. I think we've all seen it play out in some way,
Wow.
whether it's like the eager intern who tries to, outsmart the CEO,
Oh, yeah.
or that colleague who just, hogs the spotlight and takes all the credit in
Yes,
a team meeting.
totally. It's like that story Greene tells about Nicolas Fouquet,
Yeah.
the finance minister under King Louis XIV.
Oh, yeah.
He tried to impress the king with this crazy lavish party,
Oh, yeah.
but it backfired big time.
Yeah. I mean, Fouquet's mistake was really, he didn't get that delicate balance of power,
Right.
and he made the king feel insecure, and that's dangerous
Ooh, yeah,
with anyone in a position of authority.
for sure. So what's the takeaway here for our listeners? Like, how can they avoid making a similar mistake?
I think it's about being strategic with your brilliance. Don't be afraid to shine, but make sure you're also highlighting the strengths of your superiors.
Oh, interesting.
Right. Like find subtle ways to flatter them, to make them feel smarter and more capable.
Okay.
Let them take the credit when it makes sense.
Okay, so it's not about dimming your own light
Right.
or being a pushover.
Exactly.
It's just understanding the dynamics and then using
Yeah.
them
Playing the long game.
to your advantage.
Exactly.
Yeah.
By making your superiors feel secure and appreciated, you build trust and loyalty, which can help you advance your own goals down the line.
Interesting. Okay, let's move on to Law 3. Conceal your intentions.
Okay.
This one sounds a little, I don't know, maybe manipulative?
It can be, but it doesn't have to be.
Okay.
Think of it like a poker game. If your opponents can't read your hand,
Right.
they can't anticipate your next move. It gives you a strategic advantage.
So how do we apply this without becoming, a master manipulator?
I think it's about being selective with the information you share. You
Right.
don't always have to reveal every thought and plan.
Yeah.
Keep your true goals a little bit closer to your chest
Okay.
while using decoys and distractions
Oh, interesting.
to kind of throw people off the scent a little bit.
Would you say that being too transparent can sometimes be a weakness?
Absolutely.
Mm.
When you reveal too much, you give others the opportunity to maybe exploit your vulnerabilities
Yeah.
or sabotage your plans. It's like giving away your strategy before the battle's even begun.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
So it's about being mindful of the power of information
Mm-hmm.
and using it in a strategic way.
Right. And remember, you can still be honest and ethical
Yeah.
while being strategic about what you reveal. It's not about lying or
Yeah.
deceiving. It's about just being a little bit more calculated
Okay.
in your communication.
That makes sense. All right, let's go to Law 9, win through your actions, never through argument.
Okay.
This one seems particularly relevant now. It seems like everybody has an opinion and loves to debate on social media.
It's a classic principle
Yeah.
that's more relevant than ever. I
As
think
told by,
actions speak louder than words. You can spend hours arguing your point,
yeah.
but a single well-timed action is going to be so much more persuasive.
So instead of getting caught up in these endless debates, you should focus on delivering like tangible results.
Exactly. Let your accomplishments speak for themselves. Prove your point through your deeds, not your words.
Okay.
And I think this is especially important at work,
Well, for sure.
where results are often valued more than just, rhetoric.
It's about letting your work do the talking for you.
Exactly. And it also helps avoid unnecessary conflict
Yeah.
because you're bypassing all of the emotional baggage
Oh,
that
yeah.
often comes with these heated arguments.
Okay, Law 10, infection. Avoid the unhappy and unlucky.
Ooh.
This one is a little provocative, isn't it?
It is a little bit.
It seems to suggest that we should distance ourselves from anybody who's going through something difficult.
Right.
How do we reconcile that with, wanting to be a good friend or colleague?
Yeah, it's a delicate balance, and I think Greene's wording can be a little bit harsh. He's
Right.
not saying abandon your friends when they're down, but be mindful
Oh,
of the energy that you're allowing into your life.
so it's about protecting your own mindset
Yeah.
and not getting dragged down.
Exactly. It's like that saying, you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with.
Right.
If you're constantly surrounded by negativity and pessimism, it's bound to rub off on you.
That's true. But
Mhm.
how do we apply this principle without seeming like we're callous or insensitive?
It's about setting healthy boundaries, I think.
Oh.
You can offer support to those who are struggling without completely immersing yourself in their negativity.
Right. You can't pour from an empty cup.
Exactly.
Right.
And sometimes the most helpful thing you can do for someone who's struggling is to maintain your own positive energy
Yeah,
and offer them a source of strength and inspiration.
that's a good point. This ties in nicely with Law 13. When asking for help, appeal to people's self-interest.
Oh, yeah.
It seems like understanding human motivation is a big theme in these laws.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
People are inherently self-interested.
Yeah.
If you want someone to help you, you need to frame your request in a way that benefits them as well.
So instead of appealing to their sense of guilt or obligation,
Right.
you should focus on how helping you will help them achieve their goals.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Make it a win-win situation. Highlight the mutual benefits.
Okay.
And this applies not just to asking for favors, but to negotiating deals,
Yeah.
building relationships, influencing others in any context.
So it's about understanding that everyone has their own agenda
Mm-hmm.
and finding a way to align your request with their existing motivations.
Exactly. It's about being strategic and understanding that people are more likely to act when they see a clear benefit for themselves.
That makes sense.
Okay, so moving on to Law 22. Use the surrender tactic. Transform weakness into power.
Okay.
This one almost seems a little contradictory, in a book about power.
Yeah, it seems like surrendering would put you at a disadvantage.
Yeah, well, not necessarily. Sometimes surrendering can actually be a really strategic move.
Okay.
You can think of it as a way to buy yourself some time
Yeah.
to regroup. When you surrender, you take away your opponent's immediate victory.
So it's like a strategic retreat.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it allows you to assess the situation. You can plan your next move and then come back even stronger.
So it's about choosing your battles wisely and knowing when to concede
Yeah,
to win the war.
exactly. All right, let's move on to Law 25. Recreate yourself.
Okay.
This is a powerful concept, I think,
Yeah.
that resonates with a lot of successful people.
It's about taking control of your image, right?
Hmm.
Like shaping your own narrative.
Exactly. It's about recognizing that you have the power to define who you are and how you want to be perceived.
Okay.
Don't let society or other people dictate your identity for you.
So it's kind of like self-invention in a way.
In a way, yeah. Think
Yeah.
about someone like Madonna.
Okay.
She's constantly reinventing herself, pushing
Yeah.
boundaries, staying relevant.
Yeah, she's a master of transformation.
It's about understanding that you're not limited by your past
Right.
or even your current circumstances. You can always evolve
Yeah.
and adapt to become the person you want to be.
That's a really empowering message. I like that one. Okay, Law 28, enter action with boldness.
Right.
This one seems to encourage taking risks.
Absolutely. Timidity gets you nowhere. If you want to make a real impact, you need to be bold in your actions and your decisions.
Yeah.
Think about someone like Christopher Columbus.
Okay.
He wasn't afraid to dream big.
For sure.
I mean, his demands to the King of Portugal were audacious.
Okay.
He wanted titles, he wanted riches, he wanted a percentage of all future trade.
And while he didn't get everything he wanted from Portugal,
Right.
his boldness, set the stage for that deal he made with Spain.
Exactly. It's a reminder that you miss 100% of the shots you don't take.
That's true.
Boldness attracts attention, it commands respect,
Yeah.
and it opens doors that would otherwise remain closed.
So it's about having the courage to go after what you want, even if it seems impossible.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Law 38. Make your accomplishments seem effortless.
Ooh, this is a fascinating one.
It is.
It's about presentation.
Yeah.
It's like that saying, make it look easy.
Exactly. Never reveal the sweat and toil behind your achievements. Make it all look natural, like you were just born with this incredible talent.
Right, like a magician,
Mm-hmm.
like Houdini. His illusions seemed effortless,
Right.
but it was years of practice and dedication.
Exactly. The key is to project an aura of confidence and ease.
Yeah.
And this makes people more likely to admire your accomplishments and less likely to feel threatened by your success.
So it's being strategic about how you present yourself and your accomplishments.
Exactly.
Mm.
Okay, Law 32, play to people's fantasies.
Okay.
This one is so relevant
Yeah,
in today's world,
it really is.
with marketing and branding and everything.
It's about understanding what people desire and giving them a vision that fulfills those dreams.
Exactly. Think about the most successful brands.
Yeah.
They tap into our emotions, our aspirations, our fantasies.
They create a story that we want to be a part of.
Yeah, and they make us feel like we can achieve anything.
Right.
It's about understanding human psychology and using it to your advantage.
Yeah. Law 34, be royal in your own fashion act. Like a king to be treated like one.
Okay.
This is a powerful one.
It is. It's about carrying yourself with dignity,
Right.
confidence, and a sense of purpose.
Okay.
It's not about being arrogant or entitled, but about commanding respect through your presence and your demeanor.
So like owning your space and your accomplishments.
Think about someone like Beyoncé. She commands attention wherever she goes, not because she demands it, but because she carries herself with this air of royalty.
Yeah, it's like projecting that aura of power and confidence.
Exactly. Law 36, disdain things you cannot have, ignoring them is the best revenge.
Okay.
This is a valuable lesson
Yeah.
in emotional detachment.
It's about not letting things you can't control affect your well-being.
Right. When you obsess over something, it has power over you.
Right.
The best way to deal with these situations is to simply ignore them and focus on what you can control.
So choosing your battles wisely
Mm-hmm.
and not wasting your energy on things that are out of your reach.
Exactly. It's a powerful way to maintain your inner peace and avoid unnecessary frustration.
Okay. Law 37, create compelling spectacles.
Right.
This one seems to be about creating a memorable experience.
Absolutely. Think about historical figures like Louis XIV.
Okay.
He used elaborate ceremonies and grand gestures to really solidify his power.
Yeah, so it's about creating that sense of awe and wonder.
Yeah. Spectacles capture the imagination, they create a lasting impression, they distract us, they entertain us, and they make us forget about the more mundane aspects of life.
So how can we apply this principle, in everyday life?
I think it's about thinking about ways to make your presentations, your events,
Yeah.
even just your everyday interactions, a little bit more engaging,
Right.
a little bit more memorable. You can use bold visuals, dramatic lighting,
Okay.
powerful music, anything that will create an emotional impact.
So thinking outside the box, finding creative ways to stand out.
Exactly. Law 39, stir up waters to catch fish.
Okay, this is an interesting one.
It is.
It seems to suggest that a little bit of chaos can be beneficial.
Yeah, it's about understanding the power of emotions
Okay.
and using them strategically.
Not about being, cruel or manipulative.
Right.
But just knowing how to control your own emotions while provoking a reaction in others.
Yeah. It's about staying calm while your opponent loses their cool.
So pushing their buttons without letting them see you sweat.
Exactly. It's a delicate balance, but when it's done effectively, it can be a really powerful tool to kind of gain the upper hand. Okay, moving on to Law 41. Avoid stepping into a great man's shoes. This one, I think, resonates with anyone who's ever felt that pressure of following in someone else's footsteps.
Yeah, it's like that feeling of being overshadowed. You can never quite measure up.
Exactly. It's about the importance of forging your own path. If you're constantly trying to emulate someone else, you'll never truly shine.
Right. So instead of trying to be the next Steve Jobs, we should focus on becoming the first us.
Precisely. It's about embracing your unique talents and finding your own way to make a mark on the world.
I like that. Okay, Law 43. Work on the hearts and minds of others. This one seems to emphasize the importance of persuasion.
Absolutely. Seduction is always more powerful than coercion. If you want to truly influence people, you need to win their hearts and minds, not just force them to do what you want.
Right. So it's not about forcing people to do what you want, but inspiring them to want to do it.
Exactly. It's about understanding their motivations, their desires, their fears, and appealing to them on an emotional level.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's about building those genuine connections and establishing trust.
Right. Law 44, disarm and infuriate with the mirror effect. This one's a little bit of a psychological mind game.
Yeah, it sounds like it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's about reflecting back your opponent's behavior to confuse them and kind of disarm them.
Exactly. It's a way of subtly mocking them, showing them how ridiculous they're being without directly confronting them.
So if they're being aggressive, you should be aggressive back.
Not necessarily. It's more about mirroring their energy and their approach, So if they're being really loud and boisterous, you might mirror that energy back to them. but in a way that highlights the absurdity of their behavior.
So using their own tactics against them,
Yeah.
but in a way that exposes their weaknesses.
Precisely. Okay, Law 45, preach the need for change, but never reform too much at once. This is a valuable lesson, I think, in managing change effectively.
Yeah, it's about understanding that people are naturally resistant to change,
Right.
especially if it happens too quickly.
Exactly. It's important to introduce change gradually, make it seem like a natural evolution rather than a radical overhaul.
So instead of trying to change everything all at once, you should focus on making those incremental improvements.
Right. People are more likely to embrace change if they feel like they're part of the process.
Makes sense. Law 46, never appear too perfect. Now, this is interesting because we're always told to strive for perfection.
It is a bit of a paradox. It's about understanding that perfection can be intimidating and even a little bit off-putting. People are more likely to relate to someone who is flawed but still successful.
So it's about being relatable.
Exactly. By admitting to minor flaws and imperfections, you make yourself seem more human and more approachable.
And then people are less likely to feel threatened by you.
Exactly. All right, Law 47, do not go past the mark you aimed for in victory. Learn when to stop. This is a good reminder to be mindful of our limits.
It's about knowing when to quit while you're ahead.
Exactly. Success can be intoxicating, and it's easy to get caught up in the momentum, but overreaching can lead to a downfall.
Yeah. So it's about being strategic and recognizing when it's time to kind of consolidate your gains and move on.
Right. And finally, Law 48, assume formlessness. This one's all about adaptability.
Oh, this is a good one.
It is. It's about being like water, flowing around obstacles, adapting to changing circumstances.
So like in a world that's constantly changing, flexibility is key.
Absolutely. The ability to adapt and evolve is essential for long-term success in any field.
So there you have it, our deep dive into Robert Greene's The 48 Laws of Power. It's a book that's both insightful and a little unsettling.
I agree.
It gives you a glimpse into those often hidden dynamics of power.
Yeah, it's important to remember, though, that these laws are tools.
Right.
And like any tool, they can be used for good or for bad. It's up to each individual to decide how they want to apply these principles.
Ultimately, I think the most effective leaders are the ones who can combine power with wisdom, compassion, and a strong sense of ethics.
I completely agree. Power without principles is dangerous, but power with purpose can be a force for positive change in the world.
That's a great point. Well, we hope this deep dive has given you a new perspective on power dynamics and how to navigate them effectively.
Yeah.
Remember, knowledge is power.
And with great power comes great responsibility.
Thanks for joining us on this journey into the world of the 48 Laws of Power. Until next time, stay curious and keep striving to reach your full potential.